is a time when the City Council and the Planning Commission are considering many issues shaping the future of our city. And these issues have inspired passionate interest in many residents and non-residents. The Mayor and the City Council recognize this reality and wish to do nothing to dampen either the passion or the interest. However, high emotions have recently led some meeting participants to conduct themselves in a manner that is neither in keeping with the neighborly culture of our city, nor with the high standards of professional decorum necessary to conduct an effective public process. We ask that you speak to the issues and ideas before us and leave the personal comments unspoken. Thank you.
148 Kent Street, 811 Wrigley Drive. I got this email the other day that pertains to, I think, the comprehensive plan. I'd like to read a couple paragraphs of it. It's from A.J. Christensen. Determination tells me that not all city officials have spammed me yet. So if you could kindly consider these things in your decision making, I'd appreciate it. I've also included this in the area of business owners and nonprofits to the public. I hope they will share with their boards. Helping to enforcement of the civil rights of persons with disabilities is the responsibility of every lawmaker, business owner, community activist, etc. We need to make every single thing accessible to every single person with a disability. Lodging, indoor dining, parking, church, school, housing, sidewalks, parks, post offices. I will never understand the level of marketing we go to for tourism, only to create obstacles after obstacle for people with disabilities who have money to spend and who have families with money to spend. Check out the travel website Accessible Go sometime and consider why Lake Geneva doesn't qualify but could. If a person cannot attend a city meeting due to disability and so attaches that detail to a letter to the clerk via email other to be included in that specific city meeting, then at that time during the city meeting and public comments, the clerk or the letter writer's district alderperson should read that letter aloud, stating prior as example, this letter regarding from Andrea Christensen, 250 Havenwood Drive, Lake Geneva, who is not present due to a disability, then read the letter. This would also encourage others who can attend the meetings in person to bring issues who feel they don't have a voice. Why have public meetings inviting to the public comment if you suppress the voices of the persons who cannot be present? Frankly, I think all correspondence should be read aloud, because wouldn't that increase transparency? I still don't understand how government meetings are equally accessible if a person with disabilities is at home, have to pay to see the channel, while the people coming to the meetings in person aren't charged a fee to sit in the audience. I thought that was an interesting letter. I know we read letters aloud one time, and maybe that's part of the policy. I've been studying the boardwalks for some time now, and the 200 boardwalks that have built in this country from the 60s, 88% have failed. I've seen different data on boardwalks, pedestrian malls, the most successful in university towns with lots of retail shops and populations of 50,000 or more. Illinois had 10 boardwalks: Rockford, Springfield, Freeport, Oak Park, Champaign, Chicago, Centrella, Danville, Elgin, and Decatur. They are all closed. They all failed, and now are open again to traffic. In the 6 states surrounding Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio, there was 29 pedestrian walks, boardwalks, malls, bridges. 24 have failed and reopened. 5 are remaining. The 5 remaining are State Street in Madison, UW, 9 universities, 8 parking garages, over 500,000 people in the metro area, 260,000 in Madison itself, over 50,000 students, 9 universities, 9,000 public parking spots. Number 2 that's open, Iowa City, just opening at Hawkeyes. College campus, 76,000 people, 150,000 in the metro area, 3 universities, 20 different parking garages, ramps, and lots. Number 3, Minneapolis, 33 universities, 410,000 people in Minneapolis, 3,629,190 in the metro area, Mall of America.
Dimitri, 15 more seconds.
Kalamazoo, Michigan, that's University of Michigan in East Lansing. Boulder, Colorado, 5,000 parking spaces, 5 parking garages. They charge by the 12 minutes, 24, 36, etc. Lake Geneva is not set for parking for a boardwalk. Thank you very much.
Welcome, thank you.
Jim Strauss in 1517 Meadow Ridge Circle, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And of course, publisher of the Geneva Shore Report. I stand before you tonight, as I have many times before, because I'm a private citizen as well as a newspaper publisher, and I also feel I'm not like the Lake Geneva Regional Newsletter in that our paper, we don't charge for it, and so it's available to you for free. Just like we record all the meetings now on video, and you get to see them for free if you have Wi-Fi. Of course, there's an expense to everything. I support Dimitri 100%, especially when it comes to not closing Wrigley. But everybody pays for something here. It costs me gas and time to come down here and talk to you or to listen to everything else that is said, just as people pay for getting television coverage for the most part today. In 1985, I bought a car. I was in Munich. I was president of the BMW Club of America at the time. And they flew me over there to Munich to see their operation. And while I was there, the president of the company was wise enough to have Jackie Stewart, the race car driver, there to demo a car around the track. It happened to be a very special prepared car, a race car that was on the street. And then he offered to sell me the car after the demo trip. And when I told him I couldn't afford it, he said, well, this car sells for $65,000. I was going to sell it to you for 31, but because you're so broke, but president of the association, I'll sell it to you for 15,000, which was less than the cheapest car BMW sold that year. So I bought the car and took it home. And when I got it home, this wonderful black, fast car with a white interior, and I parked in the garage and then went in to get my wife to bring her out for the surprise of the new car. And she came out, walked around the car, and I first of all was struck by the fact that she didn't evidence a considerable amount of enthusiasm about my purchase. And then when we got in the house, I said, what do you think? And she said, you know, I'm so happy once again in our marriage that I was brought into the decision-making process so that I can conclude after you bought the car that indeed that was a wonderful purchase. So what do you want for dinner? I tell you that story as a lead-in because lots of times there's a lot of mystery and there's a lot of stuff that seems under the table in the decision-making process that you all go through up there on these projects. And there's a lot of lack of transparency. Some of that is just from the fact that it's really difficult to be up here and stay on top of everything and read that packet every week and then be quite capable of making decisions on it. But some of it is you don't want decisions made for you or by the public that reach you in order to influence the decision you want to make. And just the fact that you're a city councilman or the mayor or another officer of a small town doesn't escape any of us that you feel important in that role. We want you to feel important in that role. But you know, just like around the lake, I mean, you look at the Yerkes, and I read the whole packet that they're going to discuss tomorrow, and all of it has to do with reopening the Yerkes and having business go on there. Well, what about the very heavily supported rumor that they calved off part of that land next to the lake and pre-sold it in lots to a bunch of people already, and that the adjacent property, including 15 acres of woodland right next to it, is also going to be developed and pre-sold to people that we don't know, was never put on the market, which means they couldn't get the highest price, which means what the heck are they doing there? There's not a transparency there, and I don't imagine unless we bring it up, it'll be discussed tomorrow night at that meeting. Lots of things aren't discussed here. Why is Wrigley still with us? Why is the closing of Wrigley Drive here when there's been so many people opposed to it? But here it comes again. How many times has Hillmore come up in front of us for a final decision? 15 or 16? I don't know, the judge isn't here. I'm sure he's in charge of that number. What's going on over at the library when they announced that they were going to change the interior of the library to make it better for the public? But then you look at the 8 plans they have, and 7 of them involve changing the external. Frank Lloyd Wright, Talesian School, designed by a student dresser. What happens with the public is that we start believing that there's subterranean stuff going on, that we're being denied the decision-making process. We're buying the BMW and then taking it home and then not even being asked what's for dinner. There needs to be more transparency here and around the lake. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Judge.
And it's number 82, I think. It's been, I had to come tonight because I wanted to see the final vote.
Hank,
Oh, my name is Hank. Good,
you've
yes.
had a lot of practice.
I have. 1725 Hillcrest Drive, last I looked, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Your Honor, you said a couple of things that are very important tonight, and I want to just take up on that just a little bit. These discussions in this hallowed chambers must be respectful and meaningful and collaborative. And we've worked all together as a community for the past year, at least, on the Hillmore project. And at times it did get a little heated, and at times perhaps it did get somewhat personal. And I've always tried to stay away from that aspect of it. And going forward, I think we've all learned a lot through this process, through this back and forth process as a community, trying to come together with a comprehensive plan that the community feels is in its best interest. And I want to thank all of you, some of you are members of the Planning Commission, for listening to us. And as Mr. Strauss says, sometimes it's really hard to listen. Yeah, you've got your ideas about things, and I know some of you do, right? And to have somebody stand up here and say something different to you, it's uncomfortable. It really is uncomfortable. And so one of the skills of a good alderperson or a planning commission member is to just listen and try to take into account what the individual from the community is saying and weigh that information against all of the other information that comes in and make a decision that truly is in the best interest of the community, that takes in the desires of the community. What does this community really want in terms of how it looks, what the type of demographics it has, the kind of businesses it has, how the traffic patterns look, do we have a parking structure or not? What does the community really, really want? And that's going to take a very collaborative effort going forth, I think. And all of you, I think, are going to be held to that responsibility of listening to what the community says and then making the decision. With respect to Hillmore, I think that's a tremendous work in progress that we've allowed to happen. And I look forward to the Hillmore property going forward with some great ideas from members of the public, from businesses, from perhaps legacy donors. We've opened this up now for just incredible possibilities out there that the community will look forward to enjoying for years and years to come. So I'm very excited about that possibility. The two items that seem to be rather contentious right now are the Wrigley Drive issue and the boat launch issue and the closing of the road, altering of the road down by Bigfoot Beach. These are subject matters that have been on the agenda for many, many years. I've been here 40 years now, and every 5 years these things come up, both of those issues come up. And so far, nothing's really transpired with respect to changing either one of those. But again, I think there are subjects that require a robust intellectual, compassionate, collaborative effort by all of the community to decide what's best. Not just what one or two people might think, or one or two of you might think, but what the whole entire community thinks is best for both of those subject matters. And to again look forward, going forward, to a robust, perhaps passionate mayor. You're right, it gets passionate. It gets intense. Our forefathers in 1776 got pretty intense and pretty loud in their discussion about the Revolutionary War and whether we should break away from England or not. And it got really loud and intense. But in the end, they all came together, and look what we have. We got an America that we can enjoy, this business of being able to come together, address our leadership, and be heard. So I do agree it should be respectful and not personal. With respect to both these items, the road and Wrigley Drive, let's have a community discussion about them, and come to what's really in the best interest of the community. Again, thank you all very much, and I look forward to going forward with all of these discussions on the best interest of our community. Thank you.